Good morning, everyone. This is meteorologist Ted Keller. What you're seeing on the screen right now are yesterday's storm reports, and I'm sure that you are on social media at all. You saw the numerous tornado footage, images, videos that came out of Nebraska and Iowa. Some very photogenic tornadoes. Unfortunately, they did do damage, and this one here started right around Lincoln, Nebraska, and traveled that way. Another one out in central Nebraska, others out in south central Iowa later in the day. That was all yesterday. I also want you to notice this. Now, this is a sort of a frustrating thing for me because I decided to stay local and chase yesterday, and I was on that storm, and I was about to get to these two reports right here traveling north. I don't have a detailed map. I'll probably do a video on it later, but the entire road was closed. So I had to go 10 miles west, another 10 to 15 miles north, and then back to the west. And by the time I did that, and some bad roads that weren't, paved and smooth and with good speed limits, never caught the storm. So anyway, it was a good shot, and this does happen in storm chasing quite a bit. But again, moving on, we'll talk about that in another video or another posting on my website. Anyway, here is today's outlook. So this is a significant, almost as significant as it gets for severe weather. So the Storm Prediction Center puts out these outlooks, and this one right here, this is a moderate risk of severe thunderstorms. That's the second highest. The only one higher than that is actually using the word high. And also we have an enhanced area and a slight area. All of those are technically in the Ozarks for later today. I do want to make a note that I'm doing this at about 11:05. The Storm Prediction Center will update those maps here in about a half hour. I don't expect them to be drastically different for the Ozarks, so just keep that in mind that all weather information that I post in these videos does have a shelf life, so I wouldn't use this much beyond this evening. All right, and I'll be watching the storms for the Ozarks and probably do an update early this evening for you anyway, so just keep that in mind. Anyway, so that is the storm predictions look at things for today. I wanted to go ahead and show you that already. Well, let's go ahead and just show you the tornado threat map before I show you what's going on right now. So hatched means that there's a higher probability of a significant tornado. So the EF scale goes from 0 to 5. So if it's a 5, 4, or a 3 on the higher end of the scale in intensity, that's what the hatched area is indicating as a possibility. Okay, so that's what that means. Then the colors, the percentages are just the percentage chance of any kind of tornado, any kind of intensity within 25 miles of any point. So in other words, where you live, draw a circle 25 miles around, and if you're in central Oklahoma, you got about 15% chance of a tornado touching down within that circle. Okay, so that's what that means. 10% over much of Kansas, and you can see it for yourself. Now, of course, Springfield is located right here, so we're just on the edge of this. I honestly think that this for us is going to be an overnight squall line. While there are possibilities for isolated cells like there were yesterday, and you know how yesterday went, they went ahead and issued a 10% tornado probability for southwest Missouri, and that never materialized, thankfully, mostly because of the persistent cool rain that just got stuck over southwest Missouri and stabilized the air, that's why we were able to just downgrade that percentage and not have to talk about it yesterday. Today, I don't have that rain area to look at, but we're not really centered close to where the action is, where the initiation boundaries are. There might be some of that in the Ozarks today, so we're just going to have to watch that. I'll go over that here in a minute, but that's the tornado risk. I did want to show you, I think I can switch here, give me a minute here and I can switch to... Let's see, that's tomorrow's outlook. Let's go and look at this real quick. Yeah, okay. This is the current satellite image, and we're already seeing the tops of some thunderstorms develop out here, and a lot of these are already tornado warned. So it's already starting to go up in parts of northern Oklahoma, western Oklahoma, and quickly getting into southern Kansas as well. I think I could show you the radar here too. Yeah. So this is the radar look. And again, it's about 10 after 11 this morning. And you can see a couple of tornado warnings in effect there to the northwest of Oklahoma City, which is right here. So already we got some activity going on here. And actually, this was one of the things that forecasters were kind of concerned, concerned about, is that activity might go up too quickly. But I don't think that's really a problem. I mean, this is its own entity. I still think there's plenty of opportunity for the dry line, which is back in here, to initiate storms all throughout the afternoon and into the evening hours, and then those would move out like this. So plenty of opportunity for that to happen. Let's go ahead and look at, let's see here. We don't want to look at that one. We want to look at probably models. Yeah, there we go. And then I'll switch over to here. So this is the HRRR. If you watch these videos, this is a high resolution model that's actually run every hour. And this one was run at 14Z, so that's 9 a.m., pretty close. And this is what they think the radar will look like at 21Z, which is 4 p.m. this afternoon. Again, we're looking at just a smattering of supercell storms, each one of those, I think, capable of producing a tornado. Let me scroll here a little bit. There we go. Redo that. So each of these are capable of producing a tornado. They would certainly be in an environment conducive for that. You'll notice there's a couple of cells that pop up over Missouri. Now, the environment here is not favorable for tornadoes, but not out of the question either. So it's just one of those areas you have to watch very carefully. It typically does not produce, but we are dealing with a pretty strong jet stream here, so it's something worth watching. And there are maybe some leftover boundaries from activity from yesterday. Be hard to say. Right now I'm looking out the window. I don't see any sunshine either, so that will help because you need some little more instability for these to mean anything. So that is what it looks like at what did I say, 4 p.m. Yeah, so we'll just go 1, 2, 3 and go to 7 o'clock. And you'll notice that there's still a real propensity for these storms to develop out here. Many of these will probably be tornadic here. Again, hints around the Ozarks of maybe some storms. Not quite sure what to make of that. I've been saying for days, though, that the main thing having to do with this is let's just skip ahead 1, 2, let's go 3 more hours ahead. Notice what's starting to happen here is we're getting a kind of a congealed area. This is a thunderstorm line that's beginning to develop, and that is what's going to advance on the Ozarks in the overnight hours tonight. And I think it will still have enough unstable air out ahead of it and sufficient wind fields to be tornadic maybe in a couple of areas. It's certainly possible, especially higher probability the more west you go from Springfield. And you saw those risk areas were right on the Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma border anyway. So that's really what we're looking at. I can even go 3 more hours ahead. By the way, this was valid at 3Z, which is 10 p.m. So we're going to go ahead to 1 a.m. and you can again see that this line of showers and storms is organizing pretty well. And if you've lived in the Ozarks, you watch for these little kinks in the squall line, like here and here. This is often where you get sufficient inflow and you get a little rotational markers in these, and sometimes you get some pretty good tornadoes out of these. And again, all this will be advancing on the Ozarks in the overnight hours. Am I confident on the timing of that? No. In fact, anytime we look at future radar like this, it's generally a pretty good thing, but take it with a slight grain of salt because I have seen them change from hour to hour, sometimes pretty significantly. I still think this has been days in the making. I still do think we'll get a good old-fashioned thunderstorm line through here overnight during darkness from Saturday to Sunday, almost guaranteed. And that will play into what happens on Sunday, too. But instead of looking at that, let's look at just how unstable the air will be. We can go back. Let's see, I think we're going back to, here we go, that's 4 p.m. And we'll just look at some instability parameters. So we'll just take a look at just the general CAPE. We use that a lot on here when I do my videos. And, these are values in the 2 to 25, maybe 3,000 range where the darker oranges are. Plenty of unstable air. That's not a problem. The shear in the lower atmosphere, this is what tornadoes need to develop, is really pretty good throughout much of the plains, especially near the dry line out in this area here. And that gets better with time. And I'll advance the time here in a minute. And then we'll take a look at something. We'll take a look at the significant tornado parameter that kind of combines a bunch of things. Broadly, not that impressive, but developing locally in some areas out ahead of these storms. So that's what makes me think that a lot of these supercells out here will be tornadic once they get going later on. Now let's advance. We'll just go backwards here. This is 0Z, 7 p.m. Same, there's been an uptick general in the storm, significant tornado parameter. The mixed layer CAPE is still pretty high for evening, so lots of fuel for these storms to develop. And that bulk shear that I was talking about in the lower part of the atmosphere is kicking in, as it often does at night. The low-level wind field both increases, and the winds start to turn to more to the southeast typically out through this area, and that will help in keeping tornado development a thing. And then, let's see, 1, 2, go 3 more hours ahead. This is 10 p.m. Again, we're looking at the bulk shear, very, very strong low-level wind fields here. Low-level spinning is looking pretty good. This is low-level helicity, and there's pretty good values out here through the plains. This is just what the lower part of a thunderstorm would tap into to try to get rotation, not just in the middle of the storm, where sometimes it's pretty typical in a supercell, but we need to get down low for a tornado. So that's looking pretty good. And then I think the significant tornado parameter, yeah, is increasing quite a bit out through the plains here. So again, this is all ahead of that squall line. The big question tonight would be how much of this integrity of data-rich, severe indicating indices will be ahead of that line as it progresses into the Ozarks. That's going to be the question we'll have to answer, especially this evening. That'll be a good time to get an update, and I certainly will do that for you all. And then the last thing we'll look at is tomorrow again. Let's see, I think I need to go. Oops, sorry. Let's see, where is that? That's here, here, here. There it is. I knew I'd find it eventually. There's tomorrow's forecast. Again, we're in a slight risk, and I will tell you that what happens to the squall line tonight, will greatly affect, a big question mark, what happens behind it tomorrow. So that's what we'll be looking at. And I still think the jury's out. There's still a good overall shear field. I think there'll still be a lot of moisture left over. We'll just have to see how that develops for Sunday. That's it for this video. I won't be chasing today. I have another event to go to, unless maybe I see something within a couple of hours in the early evening hours. I don't chase after dark. But if I had all day, I certainly would be in Oklahoma today. There would be no question about that anyway. But I'll be watching the Ozarks here later this evening. So that's the update. I'll see you a little bit later on.